name is Robynn Frey, and I'm doing a visual information speech for Communication 110 on hoarding, the psychology of. So imagine you were in your garden, and you had a neighbor come from down the street, and she said, "Hey, I need help fixing my kitchen sink." And you said, "Sure, not a problem." So she goes, "Well, don't mind, it's a little messy." And you said, "Oh, no problem, no problem." So you walk down the street and you get to her door and you notice this weird smell. And you think, what is that smell? And you open the door and there are boxes from the floor to the ceiling of papers and newspapers and tissues and, just various junky items. You don't know what they're for. And you step inside and something moves and scatters and you don't even know what it is. And and you walk into the kitchen area and you're walking through this path that's there and you look and there's rotten food that's been sitting there for months and dishes that look like they haven't been done in a year. And you think to yourself, how could anything live in this house? Even the germs should be evicted. and you go, wow, and it just smells so bad. And this is what people live with. These are what people who have the hoarding disorder actually have to live with every day without even knowing that they have a problem. So what are some of the things that people do when they have hoarding disorder? What are some of the signs of hoarding disorder? And what are some of the hazards of a hoarding disorder? And how can we help those? Those are all things that I'm going to talk on as we get further in. First, I'd like to give some visual aids on what a house looks like with someone who's been a hoarder. This isn't your average everyday, I forgot to do the dishes. So, do you need a close-up on that?
Oh my.
Yes, these are hoarders. Now, one of the things that's most important to understand are the people who hoard usually they live in denial. They do not realize they have a problem. They have reasons for keeping everything. So there's not a point where they go, my house is just too messy. They literally think that there could be a purpose for everything that they have. The other thing that can be a problem is that they isolate themselves from other people. They don't really do a lot of social interacting because, probably deep down they don't want somebody coming into their house. Usually other mental illnesses tend to go along with the disorder of hoarding, which they found to be an obsessive compulsive disorder. And the last one is that people tend to not really know where to start with their mess. So there's several different types of clutter messes. There are your piles of clutter that needed to be taken care of, and they've been maybe sitting around for a couple weeks. They usually are papers or, just everyday stuff. Then there are your clots, and those are groups of things that are usually hidden in a corner of rooms where they just start getting bigger and bigger. And then there are clogs, and clots, a whole bunch of clots make up the clogs, the big messes. And those are usually last for 6 months or longer, and people tend to keep them around 15, 20, 30 years of these piles just building. So the most important thing to look at when you're looking at a person with this disorder is how is it safe? Is it safe for their health? And so the things that they found is that it's not mentally healthy to live in a house that way. It's not safe health-wise. It's not safe for fire hazards because it can cause a big problem. It could cause medical conditions, just an immense problem. And then what we need to look at is how can we treat somebody who has the hoarding disorder. And the ways that they usually treat somebody is counseling, cognitive behavioral therapy, and usually that's in conjunction with a type of medication to help them with the obsessive compulsive part that causes their need to have the piles. And so through that, the last thing, they can go to support groups that help them, just kind of talk about how they're feeling about other things and about their home after they've gotten the clutter cleaned out, so that this problem doesn't show up again. In conclusion, there are over 1.2 million Americans who have the hoarding disorder. And over 85% of those people who have a hoarding disorder know family members who also have the hoarding disorder, which can leave one to wonder if it's not a genetic problem with the obsessive compulsive disorder, or just how they've been taught, or some type of controlling of their environment. It is most important, if you see somebody with this disorder, to either try and talk to them about it and see if you can't help them, or refer them to someone who can help them so that they don't have to live in that sort of lifestyle any longer. And then also, it's very hard to see somebody go through this, especially a loved one that you care about have this problem. So the best thing that you can really do is help, offer them help in a supportive environment. But it's not something that they can change on their own. It's not because of laziness. It's just because of the way that their brain tells them things work. So that is my speech on hoarding. Thank you very much.